Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of the Gospel of Matthew. And we're in Matthew chapter 22, and we're going to be reading verses 23 through 33. And today, the Sadducees get to take their best shot at Jesus. We're in this section that begins and ends with an unanswerable question. We have the three parables and the three questions. And the first question yesterday, the Pharisees took their shot at Jesus and asked him about paying taxes, and they were also, as we pointed out, making their jab at the Sadducees. And today, the Sadducees are going to try to trap Jesus in an unanswerable question of their own to try to discredit him before the crowd. But they're also going to be making their jab at the Pharisees. We talked yesterday about how the Sadducees and the Pharisees were in no way reconcilable in their opinions about Scripture, about culture, about obedience, about the nature of Judaism, and about the nature of God. The Sadducees only accepted as Scripture the books of Moses. They rejected any thought of angels, of an afterlife. God, is in heaven. The life we have is the life we live. The punishments and the resources that we get as blessings we get in this life and in this life only. And so they have to make the best of the life that the hand that they're dealt. And also they're pretty well off and they're people in power, and so they are more collaborators with the Romans. They have a little better income than the average person. Pharisees are more of a merchant class, middle class, and the leaders of the working class. The Sadducees are the ones who, can send their children to Alexandria or Athens or Rome to be educated. They're the ones that you would find at the theater or at the gymnasium. They're the ones wearing the fashionable hats that they're wearing this year, in Corinth or Rome. These are the Sadducees. Now, don't get me wrong; they know the Scriptures and they're going to be able to use them. And they're also taking their shot at the Pharisees because they are talking about how silly a notion of the resurrection is, at least to them, and how irreconcilable a notion of a resurrection or an afterlife is with what's in the law. Jesus is going to dismiss this and use his superpower, the power of words of truth, to answer the question. On that day, some Sadducees who say there is no resurrection came to him and questioned him, saying, "Teacher, Moses said, if a man having no children dies, his brother as next of kin shall marry his wife and raise up an offspring to his brother." That's Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 5. The law of levirate marriage, we know it quite well. It features prominently in the lineage of Jesus and the Tamar story and the Ruth and Boaz story. And so this is an important question. But they're going to do something that people like to do, give a hypothetical that seems to disprove the truth that's clearly communicated. And all such hypotheticals are silly and irrelevant, and Jesus is going to treat it just like what it is, a silly question. Now there were 7 brothers. 7's a good biblical number. 7 brothers with us. This is like someone they know. The first married and died, having no offspring, and left his wife to his brother. The second and the third, down to the 7th, last of all, the woman died. It's a goofy story. Her name must be Cartwright, because on Bonanza, every woman who ever married a Cartwright died almost immediately. So she must have been, their one sister. I don't know, but she's bad news. These poor guys, Judah knew better than to keep giving his sons to Tamar. So anyway, it's a silly question that they ask. Last of all, the woman died. In the resurrection, therefore, whose wife of the 7 shall she be? Because they all had her. It's kind of a disrespectful way to communicate that, isn't it? Um, and it is, even in their language. Jesus answered and said to them, "You are mistaken. You don't understand the scriptures or the power of God. For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels in heaven." They don't believe in angels, by the way. "But regarding the resurrection of the dead, have you not read that which was spoken to you by God, saying, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. And when the multitudes heard this, they were astonished at his teaching. This connects us all the way back to the Sermon on the Mount. They were astonished at the way he taught, because he didn't teach like their scribes, like their teachers. He taught as one having authority. His superpower that they're amazed at is his ability to use words of truth. And they didn't believe in the resurrection. They didn't believe in angels. And he didn't use circular reasoning to lay his trump card down. He went back to the books of Moses. He went back to the burning bush. He went back to God speaking to Moses from the burning bush when God said, I am. And he says, have you not read? That's important. We pass that right over. But in their circles, when they were engaged in debate, they would say, go and read. And say, I got book, chapter, and verse you got to deal with. Go and read it and go do your study and come back and give me your answer. But Jesus did not say go and read. He said, have you not read? He assumes that they know the scriptures, and so there's a level of respect in it, but there's also a huge level of disappointment. You know this. Why haven't you gotten it already? When Jesus, having said, go and read, says, you have the brain cells in your head, and you have the education, so why haven't you put two and two together? It's as simple as this. God said, I am the God of Abraham. Not I was, I am. If he is currently the God of Abraham, then Abraham isn't in the past, he's in the present, somewhere. How did you not see that in Scripture? And they got it, and the people got it, and no one would ask him. They didn't come back to take their shot anymore. We have another question, but I think it's an honest question. And we'll look at that question next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.